Monster 4x4 World Circuit got terrible reviews when it was released. This guy from Games Radar wrote, "Few people will accuse Monster 4x4 World Circuit of being a good game, but it's been dressed up enough that it at least crawls out of the sub-mediocre sewer. God damn, that's harsh." Though if we sidle on over to the user reviews, Nathan H. says, "The best game I've ever played. And trust me, I've played a lot of games." Well, I think we should all start trusting Nathan H. a little more, because in spite of those terrible critic reviews, and against all my expectations, I actually thought this game was super duper fun. So let's get into it. Monster 4x4 World Circuit was released for the Nintendo Wii on November 19th, 2006, one of 22 launch titles for the Nintendo Wii. If you remember Monster 4x4 World Circuit for anything, it's probably that it released with a steering wheel peripheral controller. I don't really know what the point of this thing is, because it doesn't seem like it would enhance the experience in any way. But it did take Nintendo another year and a half to release their own steering wheel controller, so I don't know, maybe this thing was exciting for people. The game was developed and published by Ubisoft. It is the second game in the Monster 4x4 series. The Monster 4x4 series started as a spin-off of the Monster Jam series, which is a series of licensed monster truck games based on Monster Jam. Live motorsport events in which big fucking trucks drive over ramps and crush little baby cars, while thousands of exhilarated, bloodthirsty 10-year-old boys in the stands scream their little 10-year-old boy hearts out. As a kid, I actually always wanted to attend Monster Jam, because look how big these trucks are. I mean, come on! What else do I have to say? Anyway, Ubisoft lost the Monster Jam license, and so the Monster 4x4 series continued on its own. Still an arcade racing game about big trucks, but not the licensed big trucks of my 10-year-old self's dreams. The races in Monster 4x4 World Circuit are fast and goofy and slippery. You drive lifted school buses and sedans at 100 miles per hour, crashing into each other, doing somersaults, launching homing bombs in the shape of barrels at competing trucks, and blasting through walls of fire. It's really fun. I had a lot of fun playing this. The motion-controlled steering works really well. The motion-controlled air tricks, however, are a lot less consistent. To pull off a trick, you have to pump your controller super hard up and down like you're pumping one of those weird pump rail cars that show up in cartoons all the time. Regardless of how hard you pump though, sometimes your truck will do an awesome trick, and sometimes it just won't. And sometimes the game will get confused and think you're trying to do the motion for a boost, and it'll waste some of your precious nitrous. If you do pull off the trick, the game will give your trick a rating and some points. But like in Whose Line Is It Anyway, everything's made up and the points don't matter. That's right, they don't matter. Just like the word international in the name International House of Pancakes. The tracks aren't super interesting. They're all pretty interchangeable. They all feel very flat. They all have the same 2 obstacles, a slippery surface of some kind, and then inexplicable walls of blazing fire spread across the track. The tracks are also kind of weird at times, because they'll be set in a famous location, but not actually include any landmarks from that location. There's an Egyptian track, and the Sphinx shows up there, and that makes sense. Then you go to Barcelona, and it's just a construction site. Why bother setting the race in Barcelona if it's just going to be a construction site? There are a million world-famous landmarks in Barcelona that could be included here. Then you go to Sydney, and instead of the famous Opera House, the race is set in a place called Mystic Mountain. Now, I tried searching, and I couldn't find anything on the internet about a Mystic Mountain in Sydney. I think the developers just made it up. But why? Why would they ignore real-life landmarks and include the made-up Mystic Mountain instead? Unless Mystic Mountain is real, but just has no footprint on the internet for some reason. It's baffling to me. I just don't understand it. I assume the reason for the low scores from critics is the lack of variety and content in the game. This game is really fun, but it only has a few tracks, and the tracks all feel short and flat and nearly identical. There is also a multiplayer mode that actually seems like it would be really fun for someone with friends. It's got this combat mode where you shoot exploding barrels at each other, and then this ball pushing mode where you push balls at your friend, and the person who pushes the most balls wins. And it even has a Rocket League mode, 10 years before Rocket League released. I think Rocket League may have actually stolen the idea from this game. Monster 4x4 World Circuit's greatest flaw is that it released on the same day as Excite Truck. The two games covered a lot of the same ground. They were both ridiculous, over-the-top off-road arcade racing games, featuring lots of trucks going fast. But Excite Truck was doing it better. Excite Truck is faster. The tracks in Excite Truck are crazier, and the controls in Excite Truck are tighter. I think Excite Truck is just generally the better game. With all that said, I really liked Monster 4x4 World Circuit, and I had a ton of fun playing it. A sequel was released in the distant year of 2009 called Monster 4x4 Stunt Racer, which I do look forward to reviewing someday, because I am going to review every game ever released for the Nintendo Wii or die trying. Oh yeah. Woo! Wee! Woo!